Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Couples Academy Live, and I just have one question for you. What kind of marriage do you want? Let's talk about it. Join us now.
I really used to hate his presence. Like, there he is again. And I thought...
Was that bad?
Yeah.
My gosh. Documentary will bring things out of you.
And I used to be like, once the romance is gone, it's dead and gone. Nope, there's no rekindling it. That's a phase. This is the real deal. Get used to it. This is reality. Grow up. I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold. Sexually, emotionally.
Because as long as we were trying to fix the relationship, it got worse.
Or as long as you were trying to fix me, right, and I was trying to fix you.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we both decided to fix ourselves that things started to change. I believe God spoke to him or sent a message because I have been saying, you're critical, you're this, don't touch me. It was just so bad. We were just done. So he started bringing tapes home, and he wanted me to watch them with him. And he would say, let's watch these videos together. I'd be laying on the couch with my do-rag on and my moo-moo on. Nope, I'm good. And he kept doing it. He would just put them on, sit next to me and watch them. He was being tender. He was being nice. He kept doing this. And I wasn't interested. And then one day I remember I sat up with him, and I was thinking, whatever, you're still not getting none tonight. Let's watch it, you know? But he was persistent, and he didn't give up. And I saw changes in him. I became a believer. But when I believed he was sincere, my heart opened up, and I was willing to try.
I was in the moment. Were you in the moment?
I was watching it for the first time.
I know.
And I'm like, that's us.
I know.
That was our crazy.
I was listening to the words, and I was thinking, man, that's so true. It's such a far distant memory now that...
Thank God.
Right, that the kind of relationship that we were in, it's shocking to me to think that I'm here now because I never thought that. I thought, well, let me see how long I can ride this thing out. I don't know. There's lots of things that go through your mind. This is why I have so much empathy for women who are struggling to figure things out in a relationship, because there's so many things at play, especially when you have children, little children. And, you know, I come from a broken home. My parents weren't together. And so I had this dream of having a two-parent home for my children. And all of these things weigh so heavy on your heart when you're going through something so traumatic. Yeah. So it's not a singularity like type of experience. There's multiple stresses going on. And so I just never thought we would be here. I never thought years later I would actually have any kind of real connection to you, like you, love you, like can't wait to go hang out with you. It's wild what you can do when you learn how to do marriage.
And that's why this is so inspiring, hopefully, for those of you who are in crisis right now. Because some of you right now want to throw in the towel and call it quits and just give up. You don't believe that there's any hope for your future. You're looking at your spouse in the current situation and you can't stand your spouse. They get on your last nerves. You become allergic to them. Like there's so much going on that creates dissension and discord and disconnect. And you just, I don't know, you just become jaded, as you said in the video, and you just feel like there's this life beyond this. There's something better than this. And we believe that there is life beyond it, life beyond your current situation. And there's so many people who have overcome their challenges and are smiling today and looking back at their beginning and saying, man, we have made it through. Yeah. But you have to be committed to a process, because guess what? There was no genie that scratched their nose or performed some trick and then boom, we were there. We had to put in that work.
Yeah, and in the show, I'm trying to actually talk about my experience. Like I'm trying to shape it for you and the experience where I felt so shut down. And I hear women talk about that all the time, that you know, what happens is whatever your circumstances, you start to build up all these walls around yourself to protect yourself. right? So that you can continue to function and do life, because there's things that you still have to do, right? You still have to get up, take care of the kids, clean the house, cook the food, go to work, have sex with your husband, do all these things.
That's right, you got to do
that you have to do, right? And so what you do is you guard yourself. You build the wall of resistance up so that you can move forward. But who wants to be in that relationship? Who wants to be in a relationship where there's resistance, where I have to protect myself from you 24/7 just so that I can function, just so that I can guard and protect my heart? Nobody wants that. And so we have two people in a relationship because you wanted more too. It's not that you didn't want more. We both were stuck in our own issues and our own idiosyncrasies, and we legit could not see ourselves until we went through a process that helped us to see ourselves. And that, well, actually, when we decided to own it, right, own ourselves and then make change, was when everything happened.
But pause. You just said something that's so critical. You have become experts on your spouse, what they don't do right, how they don't show up, what their idiosyncrasies, their faults, their flaws, all of their baggage. You've become an expert on it, and you've taken the spotlight off of yourself.
Yeah.
You no longer look at you, and you don't realize that, wait a minute, I'm a part of this equation too. I am the lowest common denominator in my relationship too. But what you said, when we decided to look at ourselves, because the reality is we realized we could not fix each other.
Right.
We couldn't do it.
And you know, we talk about the mirror all the time. When things are so awful in the marriage, I really don't want to see the reflection that you're showing me. So whenever you tell me this is you, and I'm like, well, this is you, I'm not even interested in the reflection. Though we are each other's mirror, none of that matters when we're both at odds. None of that matters when we're both wrong. So when we decided, okay, forget that. I'm not going to show Hassani his mirror. He's not going to show me my mirror. I'm going to look at myself, and I'm going to draw a circle around my own 2 feet and work on whatever's going on with me. That is when things start to come out. It's almost like your issues bubble to the surface.
There it is.
You can acknowledge them, see them. You know, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, I remember that. That is why I do this. And all of a sudden you become aware of who you are. Once that happens, there's a transparency that exists. Right. And now I can come to you.
That's right.
And you can come to me and we can show each other the mirror, and we're good with each other, helping each other course correct and all of that. But that can't happen when there's all this animosity and issues between each other.
The mirror exercise is critically important now. Typically, when we get up in the morning and we prepare for our day, we look into the mirror and we're putting our makeup on. It's just like we say, mirror, mirror on the wall.
I'm putting my makeup on.
You're
not putting any makeup on.
I'm not putting any makeup on. Just so you all know. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? You know, and we're doing that because we're so focused on our outer man, our exterior, how we beautify ourselves. But we could be beautiful on the outside, but ugly on the inside. And there's character development and there's soul development that needs to be done in order for you to become your best you. And so we get so focused, because think about it. Relationships start because of two things: physical attraction, emotional desirability. So as long as you look good and you make me feel good, then it's all good. But then what about what's happening on the inside? I've heard so many people say, I knew how to woo, I knew how to do all the right things to get him or to get her, but eventually they began to see through the mask and the disguise, and all of the faults and the flaw, all that stuff started to come out, and then the relationship began to take a turn. And I think that's what happens so much. Yeah. It's almost like a masquerade party. We're dating and we've got these masks on, and rather than focusing on who we are internally, we focus on all the wrong things to catch him, and then when we got him, it's just like, well, what's next?
What happened? Why do we do that? You know, I feel like it's almost like the real colors start to come out afterward. I mean, how long can you, it's like the whole idea of shape shifting, you know, they're holding it together and then they're going to shape shift into something else. Well, how long can you actually hold your shape? Like, if you're not being transparent, if you're not being real with the person, if you're hiding the foot with the crooked toe and the bunions, as you always say, how long are you going to hide that inside your marriage?
You can't.
This is why we talk about get yourself together. You know, I can't fix Hassani. He can't fix me. Get your life. You know what I mean? So that you come to the relationship strong. Because it's all too often that we do, what's the scripture say? Take the plank out of your own eye before you try to show me my speck.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that all the time in our marriage, like, can you take your plank out before you show me my speck? But the truth is that I got a speck.
You had a plank.
I had a speck.
You had a couple planks. You had planks in this eye, a couple planks in that eye.
But I wasn't trying to hear you tell me about my plank when you got a plank. I see your plank.
That's right.
So all I could do is work on my plank. And guess what? Becoming all the better for it. I mean, it does something for you when you find out who you are, why you are. You know, you can begin to own your personality style, you know, deal with past hurts that you came into your relationship with and release all that stuff so that as you move forward, you know, you can let people be who they are. Mm-hmm. Be who you be. Speak your speech. Only a few people are going to get that. But anyway.
Danielle's a fool. Ignore her. Ignore her.
And then when you come back to the table, this is the table. Now it's set and it's good and you can work on stuff.
This is why we focus on 3 things when you come to Couples Academy. The marital recovery, because there's some issues in the relationship that need to be worked out. The way you connect, the way you communicate, the way you interact, your dynamics, your dance, your pattern that you have with each other. A lot of times we have to break that up. It's called pattern recognition. Patterns are nothing more than habits that continually loop and loop and loop, and you get caught up in this way of doing life together. And so it's just like when you take your car to the shop, they got to lift up the hood and look all up in the engine. That's what we do for your relationship and figure out what's wrong. But then we focus on your individual recovery process. And that's where we help you to become the best version of yourself by looking at who you really are and how you show up and what your challenges are and the things that you struggle with. And that's where Danielle has specialized in the Enneagram personality assessment that really looks at the core essence of your wiring. And once you have a keen understanding of that, now you have a pathway to become somebody you've never been.
That's the thing. And you know what? Listen, I mean, I discovered Enneagram maybe 2 years ago. And it blew my mind. But I had done so many other personality tests, like the temperament and Myers-Briggs and all these other things that actually are good, telling you who you are and, you know, certain traits and things like that. But what really struck me about this one is the fact that there's a path to become who God intended for you to be, as opposed to the other ones that basically say, this is who you are. And you're like, well, dang, I hate that. Well, no, this is who you are, and you're not operating at your best self right now. So here's the path to do that so that you can feel good about who you are because God made you that way.
That's right.
And that's what led me to, I read every book on it, and I'm like, I got to tell people. And then I said, I got to get certified in this. I got to have deeper understanding so that I can help other people find themselves and get out of their box.
That's right.
Yes.
Because when you can get out of your box, I mean, it changes everything.
It changes
everything.
Yeah.
So then the third piece, as you know, I would say a good chunk, about 90% of the couples who come to us are dealing with an affair and are still trying to figure out how to work through this, dealing with triggers, dealing with trust, dealing with forgiveness, dealing with being transparent, just learning how to effectively communicate. And so we walk them through that process. That 3-prong approach really does it for them. And this is what gets couples to a better place. Yeah. But couples who don't do the work remain in a hurt place. And so I want to show this to you because if you haven't gotten the book already, The Audacity of Marriage, 10 Principles to Lifelong Partnership, I encourage that you do. 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Another 30% experience an emotional or social divorce. And this means that 80% of all marriages result in some kind of divorce, whether legal or emotional. And only 20% of couples experience a fulfilling marriage. Now, we definitely were, like many couples, stuck in that emotional social divorce. Unfortunately, there's so many who actually get divorced. Think about it. If 50% are getting legally divorced, just because you're not legally divorced doesn't mean that you're in a good place. You can be just as mad, just as miserable, just as lonely, just as disconnected as anyone else. And so we were stuck in that space for a long time. So that 30 and that 50 making that 80%, we were 80%ers. We were 80%ers, and we weren't happy with it. And we didn't know what to do, and we didn't see a pathway, and then we didn't have any hope at that time. We didn't even have any help at that time. And I don't know what it was. I was in a car listening to a radio show, and I heard something that resonated with me, and it sent us on a path to begin a journey of exploration as a couple. And then we wind up getting help and then becoming certified in what we do. And we said, you know what? We want to get certified to save our own marriage. And after doing that, developed a passion for helping other couples. And here we are today, several years later. Who would have known? And every day trying to live out that 20%er. See, it comes down to two categories. Either you're an 80%er or you're a 20%er. If you're an 80%er, you're in a hurtful place or just a disconnected place. You may even be in crisis. If you're a 20%er, it means that you found your secret sauce. You're not perfect, no, but you're in a good, healthy place and you're striving for more, to have more. I think we have some comments coming in already. Mike Bryant, amen. Trying to look within and change my patterns to affect real change in my 19-year marriage. Not very easy, but very necessary.
Absolutely.
That's very, very true. 19 years, that's something to be commended, man. That's a long time. Then we say, why should a person deal with affairs and infidelity? Well, the reality is, I don't know what you mean by deal because you put that in parentheses, but there are many people who have gone through affairs that have realized, you know what, this was horrible. This was a major setback. This was a major blow. But you know what, we can make it through this. We can overcome this.
Yeah.
And countless couples have done so. I think the knee-jerk reaction for most is, it's over, let's get a divorce, and I can't do this anymore. And then you get stuck in ambiguity and ambivalence. Do I stay? Do I go? And we often say, rather than making a life-altering decision when you are soaked and saturated in your pain, don't make that decision, because any decision you make, you're going to regret. Well,
I was going to say that you got to deal with it. You're going to deal with it in either one of two ways. Either you're going to deal with it and just take it and not know what to do with it in your marriage, or you're going to deal with it by getting it dealt with, and that's what we try to empower you to do, that you actually work it out and see what that means. When people come into Couples Academy, we don't say every marriage is worth saving. It is the journey that you get on to see if it is worth saving, and that all depends on the couple, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's some extreme situations that we've come across, and we were like, I don't know about that.
Call the police.
Yeah. Just some horrific, horrendous, just beyond what you would ever even imagine in your mind type things that would happen, and it's kind of hard to come back from that.
But I think your question was pretty leading, like dealing with it. Like, why should I take this? You shouldn't take this. This is why you need to get into a position where you can get support, you can get training, you can see what's going on and decide, is this marriage fixable? Can you work it out? Because most marriages can be worked out, and you can deal with these issues. And in very rare cases, they can't. But that's the work that you have to deal with.
Exactly. Alicia said, not deal, but heal. And that's exactly
I like that,
right.
Alicia.
Because healing is it's the number one thing you need to do. Because when you're in an unhealthy place, whatever decision you make is a decision that you're going to regret.
Yes.
When you become healed and whole and complete within yourself, you're able to make better decisions. You're able to even see your partner through a different lens.
That's so real.
I think a lot of times we look at our spouse in our hurt, in our pain, in our frustration, in our unforgiveness, and it's hard to see anything positive about that person, when if you just take those lenses off because you've gone through a healing process, it changes the game. It really changes the game. So I hope this is helping you, because there's so many people who are struggling. Healing doesn't mean you have to stay in an unhealthy relationship. That's true. It doesn't.
That's real.
It seems like you don't. You don't have to,
real.
because God does give you an out. But he does believe in restoration. He does believe in redemption. And when you're in a healed place, and your spouse is healed, then you have a much better foundation. Absolutely. So at the end of the day, I mean, people have the legal right to do what they choose to do if there's been a violation. But we found out that divorce doesn't necessarily make things better either.
Absolutely.
There's an additional pain that's added on to the existing pain that you're currently going through. And to find healing in yourself and healing in the marriage, really is the best of both worlds. So these are things that you should consider. Hey guys, hope this was helpful.
Yes.
There's a couple announcements that are coming up we want to make you aware of. Remember, there's the Beyond More Than Words Communication Masterclass coming up on September 26th. You can get the registration link in the description of this video. So make sure you sign up for that. It's going to be amazing. And a few other things that are coming up. Check it out. We're committed to providing you with classes and resources and counseling and programs and events that will take you from that stuck place. Like right now, if you are a part of the 80% and you're not healthy in your relationship, you're not happy with your spouse, you want something more, you can't do it alone. You got to realize that these resources that we provide for you every single morning, really, it becomes your morning dew. It becomes your daily word. It doesn't replace the word, of course, but it's something additional that will get you in a much better place to begin to take your relationship to the next level. And this is why we want you to sit down and watch it with your spouse. Break out a pad, break out a pen, take notes, talk about what you got out of it and how you can take your relationship to the next level. Because when you do that, you put yourself on the pathway to go from 80% to 20%. The 20%ers are the ones having fun. They're the ones living life. They're the ones kicking.
They're the inspiring ones.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the ones that you're looking at like, how did they do that? How are they still in love? Do you see how he pulls her chair out when she sits down? Did you see how she got the corner? All those little extra things. You're like, how do they do that? Well, there's a process by which you do that. You have to learn how to do that. Just like you go to college to learn how to get a degree to become a doctor and all these other things you wouldn't have known how to do unless you got the training. It's the same with your relationship. Nobody taught you how to be married, but there's still time. It's not too late.
It's just as simple as Danielle made me a cup of coffee this morning.
I did.
See, when you're in a good place, you do stuff like that for your spouse. When you're not, you got your coffee.
Hide the logo. Hide the logo. Yeah. I didn't give him the right cup today.
But these are the basic things that you do when you're in love and when you're in a good place, and you just want to keep and maintain that. To the person who said, you know what, just because you heal doesn't mean you have to stay. That's absolutely right. You don't have to stay. But we know for a fact that here's the reality. Many people divorce and move on. And then they're in another relationship and they divorce and move on. Yeah. And then they're in another relationship and they divorce and move on. And it becomes that much more challenging the further you go. Mm-hmm. Statistics say that 50% of all first marriages end in divorce. Second marriages have a 66% divorce rate. Third marriages, a 75% divorce rate. I don't know what the statistics are for fourth marriages, but we work with couples who are in a very bad place, who are on their fourth marriage. I guess after so many times, they realize, I'm doing something wrong. I got to figure something out. Like, if this is going to work, we've got to do something that we've never done in order to get to a place that we've never been. And so I want to encourage you that no matter how dark it is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your situation may be, you can overcome, you can make it through. All you need to do is make some course corrections, some shifts, some pivots, and have an open mind, because it's really all about your mindset. See, the 20%er has the right mindset that says when I reach an experience where there's a bump in the road and it's a setback is nothing more than a setup for a comeback. And guess what? When you learn how to resolve your conflict, see, we're talking about communication skills, but interpersonal skills that you have to make a relationship work. Yeah. It's more than love. If you don't have the proper skill set, you are not going to succeed. These are the things you have to begin to do. Now, listen, we want to encourage you to get the book, The Audacity of Marriage, because for the next few weeks, we're going to be going in. We're going to be going deep dive and unpacking some things, and we want you and your spouse to take the journey with us. Yeah. So, guys, we love you. Hope you got something out of this, and we will see you in the AM. Take care.
Can't bring us down. Can't nothing bring us down. bring us down. Can nothing